Hey.
And welcome back, everyone, to this latest episode where I, your Dungeon Master James, take these 6 lovely intrepid adventurers on their journeys through the land of Barovia, while they attempt to break the curse upon the land, the curse of Strahd. Welcome to Cursebreakers, episode 33, and we'll begin with those introductions, starting with Tank.
Hi, I'm Tank. I play Hellweir, the fighter rogue.
And then Cam. Then Chris.
I'm Chris, playing Eos, the human life cleric.
Then Kirsty.
Hello, I'm Kirsty. I play Raven the Rogue 2.0. Now he's got a bit of warlock in him too.
And Steph.
Hi, I'm Steph. I play Porky the Barbarian.
And finally Jamie.
Hello, I'm Jamie. I play Elias Fernand, the Bard of Law.
And I'm James, and I'm the Dungeon Master, so I play everything else, including Echo Hellweir, which is kind of fun because I get to be a dick.
Nothing
Other
new
than-
there.
True. Anyway, so last time on Cursebreakers, the party dealt with the 3 hags at the old bone grinder. It was not quite as simple as the party wanted. Silence helped, but didn't completely neutralize the hags. But they had a few tricks up their sleeves, or in this case, in their pockets. The party did manage to eventually kill 2 of the hags, but the 3rd one escaped via unknown means. They also lost a child in there that got dissolved in acid.
Thanks for reminding us.
Still the worst thing you've ever done as a DM.
It is, but hags, man. They're mean.
We didn't do that. The DM did.
Mm-hmm.
Could have searched for traps, is all I'm saying.
We
It
asked
could have
them
been
to-
scalding water, but no, you have to make it acid, and you,
Oh,
you wouldn't let
yes.
any of us protect this poor child.
Yeah, scalding water, give them like 3rd-degree burns instead of killing them
Yeah, but
outright
at least we could have
instantly.
healed that. The kid's now dead.
Yeah.
Even revivable.
We
Well,
asked the kids
technically,
to leave.
you technically do have ways to revive people if you want to use the options. Such
You
as
told me
could-
not.
You told
You
us
told
we
me that the
couldn't,
body
thank
was-
you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's true.
yeah, but you could, for example, go back to the Amber Temple and make a deal.
Right. Let's not go
Oh,
back onto it. Yeah.
You could go talk to the abbot.
Did someone say making more deals?
No.
Anyway, so after dealing with the windmill, which got burnt down, the party returned to Thalarki to rest up, recover, discuss things, donate the child they did save to the orphanage.
Donate the child. What?
I couldn't think of the right word. But either way,
The orphanage, which is actually our mansion.
yep. The party then were discussing exactly whether this mother's milk that they got was the
Sorry?
item of Babi Lazaga, or if there was something else. Cade and one of Hellweir's hellhounds decided to go back. The hellhound sadly did not survive, but it's unknown what killed it. Cade, on the other hand, found that the barrel of demonic ichor was still intact, and after failing hideously on his rolls, a certain important figure to Cade's backstory decided to come and tell him off for being a poor representation of not only a paladin but of her. And basically just berated him a little, but she was willing to stay around for an hour to keep him company, tell him tales of his brother, and eventually Cade flew back after hiding the barrel beneath a waterfall.
I like that Cameron's just stress eating the chocolate already.
The party also decided to, well, a couple of the party decided to visit the toy shop. where they got a few items, found out that Blinsky has instituted some new policies on how much one can buy, but did have one item which was of particular sentimental interest to Porky when given, as it appeared to be a dwarf from the clan she was raised by, which doesn't make much sense, but there you go. Also found out that the Gromp figure has a few hidden features. He is the most loyal.
Wow.
And that is pretty much where we left off, with everyone basically resting up. Kay probably having a bone smoothie to keep himself living. Aos spending some time reading because going for that wisdom boost. Porky doing some exercise routines as dictated by the currently wrestling with dogs Raven, which, to be honest, is a very impressive feat to read a book whilst wrestling with dogs. But, you know, it happens. Whilst I'm assuming the party are going to long rest, is there anything anyone would like to do before the long rest?
I offer Porky the book I got from Blinkies.
Yes. You are offered a book which looks... What's the word? Well, to be honest, it looks like a Blinsky product. So considering the other things he sold, you can kind of get the interpretation that this looks kind of like the typical book you might see in a hag's mansion, for example. Looks like it might be bound in human skin or dragon scale or something like that.
So it's creepy beyond all reason.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a book.
I got this from Blinsky's for you, but seeing as you're not a book person, maybe you should get Aos or Raven to read it, yeah.
What's it about?
You'll find out. Just get them to read it, yeah.
I feel like I've suddenly become her nanny.
To you.
You
It's hard to have a poshness when you're northern.
For a title, I'm gonna say it is simply called, because I can't think of a better name at the moment, Book of
Shame.
No.
I thought he was going to say something a little bit different there.
Yeah.
Book of Book of Belshamharoth.
Book.
The Sender of Eight.
It's alright, Porky can't even read it, so she's just like...
Yeah,
She's just going to go over to sort of Raven and bonk him on the head with it.
Thank you for that. You know something you could do with books, which your father used to do with books? He used to use them as weights. I would quite often find my thickest tomes have gone from the shelf, and he would be there in the garden using them as weights.
I can see that. She kind of eyes up like the library looking for like the heaviest books she can find now.
I am a dwarf and I'm lifting a book.
You realise her dad's not a dwarf, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going for the dwarf people, but it was the first thing that popped into my head.
Yeah. But she's gonna hand the book to Raven and just say,
Can you read me a bedtime story?
Elias says to read it.
Right now, I've been told to read this one to you, and now this one.
This one's from Blinsky.
You want this one first?
It's more fun.
Okay.
It doesn't look like more fun, but it apparently it's more fun.
Tell you what. Make a little pillow fort. I'm going to go and get some tea, and then we can read.
Pillow fort it is!
But don't forget the dogs. They sort of perk up at the mention of the word pillow fort.
Oh, yes.
It's fine, I'll make it big enough for them too.
Right.
Join
Right.
us.
So,
Story time.
Porky, roll me a survival check to see how well you build this pillow fort.
Sure.
Oh, well,
7.
How structurally sound is it? Not very.
it's you poke in, it wobbles a little and doesn't immediately fall.
It's fine. I use myself as like that
A
wall that
supporting
holds
beam.
the structure.
Yep, supporting wall. Okay.
As long as I don't move, it's fine.
Okay. So you and Raven, roll me wisdom or intelligence check for how good you make a cup of tea.
Oh,
I'll let you pick which.
9.
If making tea is based on intelligence, we're both screwed.
Well, his wisdom is less. His wisdom is a 0.
I meant us, not.
That's true. That's true. Well, hopefully that means
it-
we're highly intelligent.
It's not a great cup of tea, but it reminds you of the cups of tea that you may have had in the dwarven mines at some point, Porky. So it's sort of thick, looks like it might have been brewed in a boot. You're not
I'm
quite
pretty
sure.
sure the milk was off.
Yep.
Nice.
It appears to be slightly orange. You're not sure why.
He was definitely out of date. I shall have to have talks with the staff.
Yep. But anyway, so you're getting settled into your little pillow fort, which
Okay, guys, it's story time.
oh God.
I thought I
One
was
of-
just reading to you.
the two dogs start shifting some of the pillows about and seemingly have somehow made it more secure than Porky did.
Sure. The dogs have obviously done this before.
Yay!
Right. So,
Are we all sitting comfortably? Then I shall begin.
Elias
Right.
is sitting very comfortable.
roll me a dexterity saving throw as you go to open the book, Raven.
Oh, God.
Really?
What?
Yep.
That's still rubbish for him. Dex is like his best thing.
Yep.
You could waste a
Okay.
lucky, but
He didn't expect a book to suddenly attack him.
Okay, so the bite nips you on the ring finger on your other hand. Doesn't bite it off, just nips it slightly.
What is it about my fingers?
Well, you open a book with your hands. That was the only thing. And then it goes. The book just goes. Not unless you tickle me properly.
Elias? Just what sort of book is this supposed to be? He looks really concerned.
I assume it's a prank book.
It
And
wants me to tickle it.
yeah,
tickle the damn book. How about my story?
Well, you don't tickle it.
I tickle the book.
Okay.
However
the
you
book.
do that.
Tickle the book, goes and flips open.
So weird.
He's just like holding it like.
And then you just hear him
Actual
Blinsky's
F.
voice. Hear him Blinsky's voice. It's no fun if no Blinsky.
Good lord. Right.
But the book itself does appear to be. Well, actually, as you've opened it, actually, as Porky did, Corky, roll me a sleight of hand check.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Okay, it's pretty good. That determines how well you tickled this book. Because the pages are blank. But after it subsides from giggling, words begin to form. And it is a comedy tale about two dwarves trying to go to the moon by building a ladder.
May I roll a performance to see how well he reads this story, like in terms of if he does the voices and all that?
Yes, go for it.
6!
your accent is terrible.
Wow.
Wait,
Yeah.
Raven, come on!
We
Yeah,
have
Sound
you're-
far
you're-
too posh to be a dwarf.
you're perhaps a bit annoyed that the book bit you and that Elias has pulled a joke on you and how silly this book is. But so it's not a particularly well read story, but the story itself is fairly funny.
Perhaps I need to get my glasses checked.
Right. Is there anything else anyone would like to do during this long rest period?
Rest.
Just quickly, I want to ask Cade what happened to the help because I felt that. What happened to the Hellhound? Why didn't it come back? Well, I know it's dead, but what happened? Yeah, it doesn't listen. Well, it does. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Fine.
Yes, appear to be hoof prints, if I recall correctly.
Do you think it could have been Strahd? That's a good call. It's fine. I have 5 more. Don't think you wanted the poison. Right. Okay. That's no worry. Yeah, that's pretty much all I
Okay.
wanted to ask about.
Yep.
Oh, help him out of his armor.
So the party begin to rest, getting their sleep or meditation in the case of Raven. Perhaps mourning the loss of their finger, who knows, in the case of Raven. But if your rest goes... For the most part, your rest goes completely undisturbed, apart from you, Eos. You have not necessarily like anything disturbing, but more it's just a bit of an odd dream. You kind of ahead of you in this dream, you see 2 doorways, one of which has symbols of healing and such on it. So alchemical symbols that may be of use for healing potions. The other is simply marked with stars and a symbol of the moon, but strangely the symbol of the moon is you're almost having to stare at it for a while and put it back together in your head so that's what it actually is. Like it's a little jumbled.
Like it's sort of a broken up like image.
Yeah. Almost like like if you walked up to it, you might be able to like slide the bits back into place to make into a complete image. But because of your intense knowledge of alchemical symbols and such, and your seemingly natural affinity for the moon with some of your spells and items, you're able to easily recognize it in your head, put it back together.
All right. Yeah, I think I'll be more drawn to this unknown door. Like I know alchemical knowledge quite well, so I walk up to the door with the moon, try to like piece it back together and see if anything comes to mind once it's complete, if I recognize it.
Yeah. Strangely, once you've assembled the moon image, there was almost like a second symbol within the symbol that you're now recognizing, which is your own name. But
It feels like memories. Feels like I'm dreaming about the past.
yeah,
And as such, it's a kind of a blurry area of my life, which I'm going to try and unveil. I'm going to try and open the door.
okay. As you go to open the door, I'm going to say 7 pieces that you put together all glow. But then there seems to be, although the symbol appears to be complete, there still seems to be a little bit missing. And you seem to get an idea in your head that there's still a piece missing from your understanding of the night.
What does the piece that's missing look like? Does it form a shape or anything?
Um, it Yes, essentially, the moon symbol you formed was almost reminiscent of a gibbous moon. This appears to be that final sliver.
So it's kind of like a crescent
Yeah,
shape? Okay.
yeah. Which, looking at it again, is a symbol you do recognize by itself with some of the other symbols. And you would recognize it as the symbol of Mother Night.
So she holds the answer. She knows of my past. She calls me Dead Moon.
Mm-hmm.
I have a sneaking suspicion it's more literal. And I kind of turn away from the doors and begin to try and imagine
Yeah.
Mother Night, I guess. But
Nothing happens, but you do really like nothing like appears or changes. In fact, as you turn, the doors are still in view no matter how much you turn. It's almost
Right.
like they're following you. almost as if it almost seems to be prompting that a decision will have to be made. But at the moment, from what you can see, one of those choices is open to you, and one will be open to you, but isn't yet. And and that is when you wake, and everyone wakes.
Really gotta get off this stuff. Realizing that I'm almost out of habit, kind of put myself on the same medication, we'll say.
So, I would say probably the first two to wake up, considering their habits and such, would be Raven, because Raven only needed 4 hours anyway because of trance, and Aos because obviously prayers, and maybe Cade as well because Cade has to like offer up some sort of calling or such. I'm not actually sure how Cade goes about preparing his spells because
No, he's never described it.
yeah. Would you like to describe that now? How Cade goes about preparing in the morning, like as he gets up, like
Wait, you
restores
do know
his-
you do know you can prepare spells, right? As a paladin, right?
Good. You have full access to the entire paladin spell list.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Yes, the guide is How to be a Paladin 101, written by Simplus von Ziegler. I know, but you're level 8 at this point. We have 33 episodes. And you're yeah, I'll basically explain, Cam. So at level 8, which is the level you are, you have up to, I want to say, 2nd level spell slots, or do you have 3rd? Yeah, I can never remember. Yeah, you have 2nd level spell slots, but essentially, you can for those spells, you can prepare a number of spells equal to. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah. So with your current stats, your charisma modifier is a +2, I believe. So you can prepare 6 spells a day, and those can be any spells on the paladin spell list for 1st and 2nd level.
I imagine everyone else wakes up as the spine is cracked on his handbook, paladin handbook, because it's never been opened. So it's just like this.
Yeah, it's. Well, there's all the smite ones. Those are pretty good as.
Yeah.
Zone of Truth, I think you get access to, and there's probably a few others. I don't think. So yeah, so I'm gonna say that this book is written by.
Uther.
Annex Wrath.
Sounds more like a lich's name.
It does.
And it is Guide to Paladins 101.
Paladins for dummies.
But essentially, you've woken up. Cade has prepared his spells, I'm going to say probably by holding up a raven's feather towards the sun or something. Yeah, maybe polishing your armor, putting a feather in your... replacing the plumage on your helmet, maybe, if you have plumage in your helmet. If you even have a helmet, I'm not sure if you do. Maybe flex your wings a little. But now I know Aos, you have plans this morning, but I believe Cade, you have plans relating to those plans because you have information.
Damn it. I keep forgetting to use these. I
Use
even
what?
prepared it. Can't speak with dead. I wanted to pull out the head. That was something I wanted to do. Completely forgot. Because I've been
Well-
putting it off for so long, and I had 2 speak with dead spells. Ah,
Oh, yeah, I would have stacked up the ring and the. Oh, not just the ring again with the
Yeah,
silence
because the
spell.
Guardian hasn't. Yeah. So, Cade, I'll come to you first, as I believe you have. You said you were going to tell the party about it in the morning, and it is the morning, and everyone is waking up or has woken up at this point.
yes. Well, was there any kind of burnt markings alongside these hooves?
Not that you saw anyway. And there was of course a lot of scorching anywhere. A windmill had just burned down, and it was a hellhound. I'd be surprised if there wasn't at least some scorching. Yeah.
Okay. And what did they... Was there something missing? Were they looking for something?
Yeah, a barrel of demon blood, basically. Yeah. Yeah, some of the party had seen it used to, or seen the barrel knocked on to summon up the dretch that they fought. But Cade believes, for whatever reason, it's up to him if he reveals where that information comes from, that it could be used to potentially bring out something bigger in the right hands or wrong hands, depending on your point of view.
Well, we we knew that for sure. It summoned demon. What? What does he want with? Also, I really want to discuss this. The fact that Baba Lasaga has said that Strahd is her beloved son,
Yeah.
and that we have very openly said we're trying to kill him. She's not going to let that happen. Not if what I believe is true. She's going to try and stop us at some point. She's going to betray us.
I mean, she has a Strahd Jr. Maybe the original one's such a disappointment she doesn't care if we kill him.
Do we want to go on that assumption?
It's a valid reason.
Yeah, but the last thing we want is to, like, start walking up to Ravenloft to fight Strahd and find that she's stood next to him.
I'm not saying she wouldn't fight us. I'm just saying it's a potential reason.
Raven, roll me an insight check.
He'd gone to get tea.
Raven ain't here.
Either way, roll me an insight check as you're considering things.
As he goes about his day, trying to
Yep.
find decent tea leaves.
Yeah.
Well, I would have waited for
Well-
everyone to be together anyway, so
Yeah. So
this is an important question.
I'm not sure if insight actually is the right role, but it works for my purposes, and that's high enough. Essentially, Raven, your thoughts cast back to that time back on Yester Hill when you saw Strahd, and you saw that sort of familiar sense of longing or almost mourning on him as he gazed out at the mist, seemingly at somewhere where he couldn't reach. And I would say, because Raven is probably the only one who doesn't see Strahd necessarily as having to die, though of course that's still up in the air. It's more Raven's kind of not his death warrant is signed, let's go kill him. He's more like, nah, there some you've done bad, he's done bad, you went good, he could go good, sort of thing. So but considering that sense of mourning and longing, and from what you've heard, the only people in Barovia can only come and go at Strahd's behest, and the only ones who seem to are the Vistani and various heroes, including yourselves. But you've never heard of Strahd being able to leave. So I would say, with that information and considering how Baba Lizark is acting, it's almost like, with that role at least, I would say you're thinking that maybe she's attempting to help free Strahd, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
He-
perhaps
Kind of like
the
in
only
that
way-
sense, he's as just as much a prisoner here as the rest of us, sort of thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just here he's super powerful because he is the land, and to escape he would have to escape himself essentially.
All very metaphorical.
Yeah, but that's the least thoughts you're having. Whether you choose to share them with the party in this conversation that they're having is up to you. But I would say those are based on your conversations and thoughts and understanding. Those would probably be things that would come to Raven's mind at least a little.
I would think because of how well things went last time, he mentioned he's Switzerland at the moment and all that lot. The others mainly weren't hearing it, so he'll probably keep to himself about it.
Yeah. Okay. So currently, the big discussion is on whether or not to trust Bobby Lizarg and what her motives are. Hellweir, would your echo be up at this point?
Yeah, he's as basically, as long as he's not been sort of defeated in battle, I would have resummoned him at any point.
Right. So So Eos has raised this point. Elias seems to be like, yeah, it'd be bad if she turns up. Cage is probably not trusting her either. How is Hellweir feeling on this?
He wouldn't trust her as far as he could throw her. But he did have a thought regarding the barrel of blood. Is there not a way we could either get rid of or use or whatever the vast majority of it and return the barrel with her with hardly any in there? We still, end of the day, upheld our end of the bargain and bought it to her. Just, we didn't know how much was in it.
That's true. I like that idea.
And I know
Curiosity, do you know how many uses it has, Cade?
What's to say that it can't just be refilled up with demon blood and it's a go again?
well, this is what we don't know, but even if we return it with hardly anything in it, she can fill it, then she can fill it. If not, we've taken quite a nasty weapon out of her hands.
Hmm. It might also just slow her down enough. She can't use it to create tons.
Oh, we could
But I
just.
agree, it is a nasty weapon. Like, there can only be something bad coming from summoning demons. They are evil creatures.
I'll sort of give Eos the eye with that.
Yes.
The
I'm aware.
Hellhound's been useful.
Hellhounds would count as devils, right? Because they've actually got hell in
They
them.
are, yeah. They're
See,
lawfully.
I wasn't sure on that, but either way, it's still, you know.
Well, the point there, Hellweir, is hellhounds being more of the devilish variety than demonic variety, they're more likely to make deals. They're still evil, they're scum, but you know, they're negotiable with. Demons, on the other hand, are all
Just
chaos
want to
and
destroy.
destruction.
Yeah.
Are we actually saying that we return the barrel to her empty and then leave?
Well, I personally, I wouldn't return it empty. I'd return it drained.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
That's what Howard was suggesting.
and then leave?
Well, we have several options. Like I said, if we expect her to betray us at some point, why are we beating around the bush? Why not just end this evil now before it interferes when it comes to fight Strahd?
Yeah, let's ice the witch.
I mean, the whole point of this exchange was so we could get the Raven's Eye.
Which we could forcibly take.
Plus,
But isn't she like Mother Knight? Do you really want to be doing that when you guys still have ties to her?
She has a point.
Wouldn't that break the ties if she no longer exists?
What's worse, the Sun Sword not working now ahead of time, and working out a different method of killing
Hey,
him?
look,
Or
I'm gonna
the
go
Sun
with the
Sword
majority. I'm
breaking
not. I'm just
during
pointing
the fight?
something out.
I'll also say one thing. The Raven's Eye isn't the only item of value she has. Remember, there were 2 items under her floorboards. One was green.
Yeah.
The seed.
Just a fair point. That item you got, Porky, is it attunable or does it just work with you? Just in case you need to attune to it. Looks done.
That is an attunement item.
It is attunement.
Yeah, make sure you attune to it if you're using it.
Yeah. Well, now,
Earth prepares Zone of Truth today.
yeah. To be honest, it ain't really up to me what you guys do. I'm along for the ride regardless. But considering, with the exception of maybe Raven, none of you are really the shifty types. Sorry, prejudiced. You'll understand if you... Yeah.
No, not at all, not at all.
Anyway, what's to say you make the deal, get the powerful item off of her, and then use it against her?
I like the way this person thinks.
I mean, I can do that if no one else feels comfortable summoning demons.
So we need to get the barrel and empty it then.
Not fully.
Well, not empty, but maybe to an eighth of what was there.
We need to see this barrel.
Yeah.
Where have you put it, Cade? How far?
Well,
Flight. We can't fly. Can you go fetch it for us?
so that will slow the time down.
Oh yeah.
It's about 4 miles, which is that's like a sixth of the day's travel, I would say. So your normal day's travel is like 16 hours or something like that.
Is it on the way to Perez?
Oh hell no.
Then go get it, Cade.
So he'll probably be about 3 hours, I think, to get there, and then 3 hours to get back. It's going to take a little while. I know you. At the mention of the word "fetch," the 2 dogs sort of perk up and look about, and then just sort of look at you like, "You didn't throw anything."
He's probably got some biscuits with his tea, and he'll grab one of the biscuits and he'll waggle that in front of the dogs and throw that.
That's fair.
And another one because there's 2 dogs.
Yeah, they go chasing after it. Sure. The book chuckles a bit at the sight of this. Just that little book, it just chuckles. Right, so Cade is off flying for a while. So, what would people like to do?
Read.
Okay, so you want to read for 6 hours.
6.
Well, it's going to take him 3 hours to get there, 3 hours to get back. It's 8 miles of travel.
Then yes, I'm reading for 6 hours.
Don't want to speak with Dead or anything?
No, I'm reading. I need that first. It's more of a priority.
Did you ever tell us about that lucky shop you found? Where you got the handcuffs from?
Sure. Yeah, probably.
Okay, I'll probably go look for that then if you did.
Okay, is anyone else going out to do anything during the day?
Because why not? There's nothing else to do for 6 hours.
Yeah, I'll go out to the front gates and I'll talk to the gate guys, like the guards on the gate, and see if they need an extra hand. Sort of just keep an eye on things.
That they accept willingly. They're very short-handed at the moment. You actually see that one of the children from the orphanage, who is maybe like 8 years old, is wearing like a helmet, holding a spear far too big for him. Just sort of, yeah. Right. You can go home now, Timmy. We've actually got someone who can do the job a bit better. No offense, man. You do a great job looking out, but just sort of Timmy looks at them, just. But I want to help. You can help by going and fetching us some sandwiches.
I'll give Timmy 5 silver coins
Yeah.
to go and get food for everyone, just to. And if there's anything left, he can keep it.
Yeah, he runs off at his speed, the helmet just sort of twirling about his head because it doesn't fit. It's far too big.
I will say to the guards that I am going to be bringing out assistance.
They look at you and go, well, as long as it's not one of those flaming dogs, we're fine.
Oh, yes, it is. That's what I mean by assistance. It can sniff something out and hear better than we can.
Then, as was established before, we don't want those in town because they're potentially going to incite a panic with the people here.
Which is why I can get it to stay at the gate with you to help with your shifts. Until we leave.
Fine. Just...
It will not attack unless it's attacked.
Honestly, we should have just kept Timmy on.
Hey, I'm here for like 6 hours at least, so.
Right, so you're doing that. Elias is looking for Lucky's locks.
Yeah.
Porky, Raven, you doing anything with your day?
Porky will probably still be trying to do all these exercises and stuff that are in this book.
Yeah. So 6 hours on the book for you, basically.
Raven will be helping her do that, but he will also take a bath. It's been quite a while since they bathed, so he's just like, yes, I need cleanliness.
How does Porky feel about bathing? Because being like raised by dwarfs and everything, I'm not quite sure.
She's a clean person. Like, she's usually covered in blood, so she kind of needs to bathe on the regular.
It's an honest question. There is a type of dwarf that doesn't bathe.
Yeah, that's not Porky.
So I just thought I'd establish.
People wouldn't hire her if she was coated in blood and muck all the time.
I don't know. They hire battle ragers, and those literally are covered in blood and muck most of the time. That's literally.
She's a bounty hunter. There's a difference.
Yeah.
She needs to have a decent reputation.
Yeah. Strangely, though, as Raven is helping with these exercises, there are some exercises about proper bathing technique to help with the strengthening of muscle. Who knew?
Sure.
You know, you've got to like get the right steam on it, you know, and everything. It's temperatures.
It's just kind of gives Raven this look. I'm wondering if he's making this crap up.
Who knows? But anyway, Elias,
Who
roll
knows indeed.
a D100.
D100. Look for this shop
She believes it.
that moved from one side of town to the other. A D100, you said?
Yep.
Okay.
See how lucky you are.
81.
Okay, you're fairly lucky. And you do find the shop, though I'm just going to take you all back to the town map, because you're in the town, makes more sense than being on the world map, with the exception of Cade.
I'll be playing music as I go, you know, as usual.
Yep. Weirdly, you're looking about, and for a while you think you've not had any luck, and then you come across like one of the side entrances to the mansion, and above it says Lucky's Locks.
Yeah.
But literally a side entrance to your mansion.
What? So it found us?
Who knows?
Okay, I'll enter.
Yep. You enter thinking about, how is this here? There's definitely no shop in the mansion. You've walked about the mansion enough. How the hell is there a shop here? But you enter this shop, it's like 2 stories tall, quite like old, sort of tacky. There's the masked figure behind who bows. Welcome to Lucky's Locks.
I I bow back. How did your shop get this big on the side of our mansion?
Oh, did it? It ended up there, did it?
None of your brothers and sisters seem to have shops like this in Kresk.
Oh no, they wouldn't. They've never been one to embrace the magical side of things.
This
Not to the
is,
extent that I have.
this is so weird. A friend told me of this place and I came looking for it.
Yes, I really need to get that calibration set. My plane hopper is just always putting me in weird places. I blame personally. I blame Strahd. It's probably trying to establish me in another plane where there would be a decent wall here and a decent business opportunity. But because I can't get out of this plane, I'm stuck here.
Well, when the time comes, you're always welcome to help us fight the good fight.
She just sort of looks around. There are various like weapons and stuff, and she goes, "Do I look like I fight?"
Anyone with a weapon can fight.
I don't know. Honestly, I feel like the few times I've tried, my name should have been Unlucky. I wear a mask for a reason.
Well, what does a place as enchanting as this have?
Well, it depends what you're looking for and how lucky you are.
How lucky I am?
Yeah. The actual inventory as you're looking around seems to be shifting and changing. And also, a certain amount of financial aid can make you all the luckier.
Mm,
And of course, there's always games of luck to see if Timora is with you. Not been with me recently, but you know.
how much is a game of luck?
Well, it all depends. Would what would you be interested in getting?
I don't know. Maybe something damaging? Or something
Hmm.
I don't know what there is.
What instruments do you play?
That's a good question. Anything with a string by the looks of it? Wait,
Hmm.
yes. Yeah, anything with a string.
Yeah. Just gonna look up something quickly. Because you might be lucky, you might not be, but you did roll fairly high on that, so let me just open my book.
Either that or I could just start grabbing stuff off the shelves as it changes place. Unless that's the game.
No, that's not the game. No, I didn't want spells. Why did I go for spells? That's not what I was looking for. I want that. Second. No. Still not what I want. Well, I do have one item that may be of interest. To one gifted in the arts of strings. She pulls out a lyre. Seemingly, she just reaches out to a completely empty shelf and comes away with a lyre. Now, lyre, I'm pronouncing it lyre because that's what she calls it. Now, this is a lyre of building. Now, it's An interesting little one. Quite valuable to someone who can play the strings. With it, its most simple feature is the ability to cast Mending.
Okay.
You can also, when a structure within 300 feet of you takes damage, or an object, you can cause it to be immune to that damage and any further damage of the same type for 6 seconds.
An object.
Yes. It also has one other feature, but this is a once a day feature. It can cast one of 4 spells.
Okay. And
Fabricate, Move Earth, Pass Wall, and Summon Construct.
what's the cost on this?
Well, in terms of selling it, that's not something I can do, but I'm around for the next hour. If you can find something you think would be valuable enough to wager, it would have to be another magical item, of course, then we can play a game for it.
Of course. Of course. I've not gotten any magic items.
Yes, but you would know that most of the party have some magical items, and there are a few that you've not seen them use yet. So you could always go ask a member of the party. She has said she will be around for the next hour.
Do we need the secret wand of secrets?
You don't.
Yeah.
You're going into 2 dungeons potentially, as far as you know, or 2 areas. They could be hidden rooms to find.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ask the rest of the party. I'm gonna tell them what.
Okay. So you would probably, I would say, Aos would probably be the one you find the most easily because they're reading and they've not really moved much.
So, remember that lucky shop you told us about before? It's now attached to our building. And they're offering something that can summon constructs, which is always worth having an extra ally in the fight.
Okay.
Oh, and it can do mending, but yes. But
Go on. But
have to wager an item that is also magical. And
well, I get great use out of my magical items.
and all I have is the secret wand of secrets, which I don't think we've really used yet, or the wand of morphs.
I see.
Have we picked anything that's not worth anything to us?
Well, I have this. I pull out the spyglass. It's easily worth 2,000 gold. Why don't you just give them this?
Because they won't take money.
They could buy magical items with said money. That's the point of money. It's supposed to be an exchange currency.
I know, but she won't take money. She apparently is all about luck, and I have to win this off her.
What about a potion then? How old does she look?
How old did she look?
You don't know, she was masked and clothed quite a bit.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you're not sure.
Ah, she's masked. See, she wants to hide her face. She'll need this then. I pass him the potion of youth.
Oh, we have a potion of youth.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, got it
Okay.
from the hags.
Would you like to? Oh wait, you're reading your book. Okay,
I'm busy reading. Take it. Take it. I'm
Okay.
holding it.
I'll go do it on my own then. It's all good. If I come
Now-
back playing somber music, it's probably because I lost.
Now, you're not sure whether that... You can't be 100% sure whether that item will work or not. Would you like to speak to the others so you have a few options?
Sure, I'll let them know as well. Kid's not
Okay.
here, and Hellway's
So,
front gate, so it's just Porky and Raven.
yeah, so... Yeah. So, they take a little while to find. I would...
They're in the library. Read
No,
them.
they're not. They're bathing
Oh, they're
at the
big.
moment. So you go... Cade's flying off. Hell is guarding. So you hear sloshing coming from the bathroom.
Knock on the door. Hello?
It's open.
Are you decent?
Hold on. Just throw the poncho on.
Okay. I
I
enter.
never figured you for a prude.
Well, it's polite to allow
You're
someone.
a bard, aren't you? Your type normally, like, you don't care. Whatever. What do you want?
You're a woman.
Yes. Would you not?
He's
You don't
gay.
seem bothered.
And
I've
respect.
seen you as a baby.
Anyway, there's this shop I found that is willing to give me an item that'd be very useful for us, but I have to wager a magical item. Is there anything that we have that we don't use or isn't worth using?
Now,
Um,
I know Raven has a couple of magic items that they haven't used yet. Because I believe you picked up the Crown of Disguise.
Oh, he's got that. He's been wearing that.
Yeah,
this is Raven. Of course, he's wearing the crown.
and you also picked up a tentacle rod.
We had
Yes.
a tentacle rod.
Yes, it was found in the pile of treasures, and it's most useful to the drow because drows can do extra things with it. But can't think of any other magical items the party have. Those are the two that came to mind. Kate has his sunblock. Yeah. So you're
Porky
Yeah,
will pull out the two halves of the broken staff from the very beginning of the campaign.
Yeah.
the piece of the Golthius tree stuff.
A
Interesting.
cape of billowing. And all her toys.
None of the toys are magical. Apart from the one that can mimic Strahd. But would we want to get rid of that? Really? But it's part of the collection.
I'm just trying to remember what the tentacle rod thing can do, whether or not he is going to use it or not.
Right, I'll give because this is like the one magic item that, as a drow, you would know.
Yeah, because I'm info here.
So, while holding the rod, you can use an action to direct each tentacle to attack a creature you can see within 15 feet of you. Each tentacle makes it has 3 rubbery tentacles basically. Makes a melee attack roll with a +9 bonus. On a hit, it does 1d6. You hit with all 3, you can make a con save. Well, if it fails, its speed is halved and there's disadvantage on deck saves and can't use reactions. And on each, it also can only choose between an action or a bonus action for that 1 minute. It is useful.
Yeah, it is useful, but I don't know if he's going to use it. That's the only thing.
I would say your family member who is like the sorceress or whatever probably had one of these because they were quite a powerful drow, and most of the more powerful drow would probably have this, or if they're a priestess, they would have one with snake heads instead. Depending on how good they are with Lolth. I swear there was something
He-
in that.
He'll look at Elias and he'll be like, 1 minute. And he'll walk out of the bathroom. He's probably, only just like slipped a shirt on or something, and, hair's all down everywhere. Wanders off to find his stuff, comes back, and he'll probably hand it over. He's like, it's cool. I mean, a lot of big drow have things like this, but I really can't see myself using it though.
Oh, okay. He's just like a little bit awkwardly like, okay, thank you, and he like wanders out like not expecting Raven to just be walking about with his junk out.
No, he hasn't. He's probably got his trousers on.
You got wait, you bathe in trousers?
Well,
You
no,
did-
he's standing there with Porky in the room. He's not going to stand there naked in front of her.
She don't care.
He does. He's a proper gentleman, or he's trying to be.
See, this is one of the reasons why I prompted this, because I knew it would be funny.
He's probably tried to point it out to her, but she's just kind of like gave up and just right, fine. Well, she doesn't seem bothered by.
She's just like scars, tattoos, meh, water, clean.
Yep. But using the proper bathing technique as instructed by the book.
Okay, so I've got a tentacle hentai thing. I've got 2 halves of a staff of,
This
What?
episode is really weird.
and I have a portion of youth.
Oh,
I'm now going to call the tentacle rod the hentacle rod from now on.
oh no! Please don't.
The hentai rod.
Anyway, so you return to Lucky's locks,
Yeah.
which weirdly doesn't seem to have many locks there today.
And I
Right.
place all 3 items on the table, like, which takes your fancy?
She looks at the potion with a look of disgust. Just like, you think I need something like that? How rude.
What am I expecting you to be using these items? I thought you were a shop. I thought
Yes, but
you get and sell.
Still.
Plus, I can't see your face. You've not revealed yourself. How am I supposed to know what you will need and won't
Of
need?
course not. Never on a first date.
It's technically a second, isn't it?
Not for allies, it isn't.
Okay then.
But no, not that one. I've never really had much luck dealing with potions, apart from healing potions. Those have done well at points.
How about we up the stakes? 2 items, and if I win, I get the Leah, and you reveal your face.
That curious, are you? And what was the other item? One was the tentacle rod, and one was
Well,
the.
it's the Gulfier staff.
She looks at the Golfier staff pieces, and it's just like. Well, I suppose if you lose, I can repair this.
Exactly.
As I can play most magic. I can use most magic items. In fact, I haven't found one yet I haven't been able to use. So, okay. And you know what? I'll throw in a healing potion as well, as just to sweeten the deal, because it seems a bit one-sided otherwise.
Nice. That'll be a second healing potion that I'll have.
Right, so this game is simple. She hands you 3 dice. Roll 3 dice. Get higher than me. You win.
Oh no. Okay. What dice are they?
6-sided dice.
6-sided dice. Okay. Who's going first?
I will roll her thing in. No, Actually, both roll at the same time. So I'm right.
So-
So
Are we rolling 3d6 or are we just rolling d6?
3d6.
Okay. Oh! Oh!
Unfortunately, she does win, but roll me a D100.
That is just. In 3d6, I only got a 6. Oh, 90.
Well, it seems that whilst the luck of the dice isn't with you, it seems luck is, because I've just checked my calendar and today's opposite day, so you win.
He gave me loaded dice.
What?
What is this session?
So,
Fun is what it is.
You got the lowest score, and in a game of who gets the highest on opposite days, the lowest wins.
you
Very
have
simple.
the weirdest business tactics. Did you make anything?
Oh yes, I make plenty.
Okay, then. I,
And now I want you to roll me a d4.
3?
Okay, you're getting a potion of superior healing.
Wait, what's the potion that comes after 3?
A potion of supreme healing is 4.
Oh, wow.
So you get in this potion of superior healing is 8d4 plus 8 healing.
Okay. That's.
Brilliant.
Very good.
Yeah. And the Leer of Creation?
Leer of building, which I can because I bought the book on here, even though I shouldn't have because I was going to wait till the end of the month. I will go. I will drag it onto your sheet because I can, and I will drag it to create myself a handout, which I will then share. There you go.
Okay. I shall, I guess if I won, then may I see the face behind the mask? Behind the generosity?
Yep. Let's have.
It's Strahd.
That's it, or it's like, it's Baba Lysaga.
Clearly Snurg.
I would know if it was Snow.
What Elias?
No.
Detect evil and Snurg.
That needs to be
Oh.
a spell.
I'm just looking for it.
Person
Right.
is now 100% wearing a Snurg mask.
Yeah, as they take off the mask, they do reveal underneath another mask. It is a Snurg mask.
Oh my god.
Oh, but I did say I would show my face, didn't I? So I am going to quickly upload an image because I don't have an image for this character. Give me a moment.
I'm
To be
sorry.
honest, the chances of what are the chances of you going, yeah, I want to bet to see the face of this person?
Don't put
It's
a
like-
mask on characters then.
Better not be a fox face.
Oh,
That's my prediction is it's a fox face.
Who the hell is? No, I lost the image.
I should have just.
Fine, I'll zoom in.
Oh.
She's decked out. Why is she not in the fight?
Not a fighter, she
Not
said.
a fighter.
Just
Nope.
a poser.
Crossbow, dagger, rapier, suspicious looking potions.
Just she goes, oh, yes. Actually, does Elias comment on that?
On
The fact that she has so much equipment on her, despite the fact that she said she isn't a fighter.
yeah, and around her shop.
I didn't say I didn't do combat. I said I didn't do fights.
Hmm.
As I've said, I don't like to get into fights. I like to end them quickly before they begin.
Then we would definitely love to have you in the coming battle if you're
Oh
willing.
no, no one can sneak up on him. He pretty much. I've tried stealing from his thing before. It's hard.
Oh, we don't intend to sneak up. We intend a full on war.
Which is why I will not be there.
Ah,
Though, I have. If you're planning to go in there, I suppose I should offer you one little bit of advice.
okay.
And considering luck seems to be with you because you found me, and then she pulls out a familiar deck of cards, or familiar looking, and pulls out the exact 5 cards that you pulled out previously, or have been pulled out previously.
Oh, you are a strange one.
Oh yes. Now, I reckon, and I'm a betting woman, that you don't know where this one is, and she points to the one that indicates the thing you seek lying with the dead under mountains of gold coins.
That one, or that one, and I point to the 5th one as well.
Well, I can think of a couple of places for that one, but I think the first one is probably the more important. So I will tell you this, and let me just find the exact bit of information that I want. No, it's not there. It's in my archive folder. Where are you? There you are. I hate when this doesn't work. Well, this one. This one you'll find in Castle Ravenloft.
That's the Mountains of Gold one.
Mm-hmm.
Under the.
You'll find it in one of the crypts, I think.
Oh.
But for now, she looks about. It's 1/4 past the hour. No, actually, sorry, 17 minutes past the hour. I'm actually a minute late shutting, so bugger off now.
Okay. Yeah. I start to exit, and I turn around and bow and thank her, and I'm like, it's interesting to know that the face is as enchanting as the shop, and then I leave.
Yeah. Yeah. She pauses for a moment and rolls a dice across the table and goes, you really need to get luckier, she says to herself. And then as the door closes, you hear a strange sound behind you, and then there is no door.
And there is no door. a plane shifting. Well, not plane shifting. It's more like trying to plane shift, I guess.
Yeah.
But stuck in the place.
You even see, like, you hear, like, the sound of billowing flames, rushing winds, cresting waves, and like crumbling rock as it tries to shift. But then it just, or then you just hear the sounds of like mists and wolf howling, and you just hear a voice go, "Ah, stuck here again," before it disappears.
So is the Lear attunement?
Yes, yes, it is.
Yeah, and I currently have the pentacle staff or whatever it's called.
And Golfier's star. Yep.
And
And a potion of superior healing.
go for your staff. So yeah, I'll attune to the Lear, and then I'll use its mending at will to fix the Golfia staff because no one's done it yet.
Didn't you just give that over?
No, he bet it and won.
Oh,
So he got to keep his items.
Well, I lost, but apparently that means I won.
Yep.
Which
just
I'll
lit.
which I'll convey this to whoever I talk to as I'm attuning
Yeah.
it.
I will say that despite the fact that you were only in there a very short time, just for expediency's sake, when you left, it's actually quite a few hours later,
That's fine.
and you notice Cade flying in the distance towards the town.
I shoot him. No.
Carrying a barrel. And, yeah.
See what this-
So, I will say at this point that unless there's anything else anyone would like to do during this 6-hour period, the party gather again with this barrel. Deciding what they want to do with it.
Okay. I'll inspect the barrel thoroughly and try to figure out how it's used.
Okay. So roll me an investigation check, first of all.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a barrel full of blood.
Mm-hmm.
And from how the battle was described, it seems you knock on it and a demon comes out.
Where are we? In town.
You're in the mansion, yeah.
Maybe we should take this outside. Don't want to stir a fuss in the town.
Would anyone else like to do any examinations of the barrel via magic or looking or anything else?
I'll give it a look just for the fun of it.
Roll that investigation check.
Oh.
Wow. Okay. So you find, after looking over this barrel, running your hands along it, a very ever so slight indentation in the wood on various places. Tracing your fingers along these, it begins to seem to match arcane runes of some kind. So you can roll me an Arcana check.
Oh, this will be fun. I mean, I've got 0, so
Mm-hmm.
no.
These are pretty letters.
I found some pretty letters,
Hmm.
and I'll point them out to whoever understands this gibberish.
They are pretty.
You can try an Arcana check, Aos, yourself.
Oh, fine.
or an alchemist kit check.
Ooh, baby. Proficiency. With wisdom
Considering-
or intelligence?
I will say this is intelligence, which I realise isn't your stat, but
20.
okay. So these arcane runes, which you realise are, whilst they appear arcane in nature, are actually also alchemical symbols, because this is a form of potion almost.
It's just a big potion.
Yeah.
Ah,
And
Good
from your understanding of the alchemical runes, essentially by disturbing this barrel in the right way, you can cause it to basically cause the blood inside to congeal and open up a small sort of, not a tear for a physical body to come through, but a tear for almost like a demonic spirit to come through to infuse with the blood and become a demon.
I see. I think I've figured out how this works. The blood is definitely, like you say, the fuel. The spirit of a demon that needs to be summoned first. And did you say that literally is just by knocking on the barrel?
That's how the witch did it for what she did.
I can't say this will work the same for us, but I think we can do this. And by that check, does it look like? Well, I guess we'll figure it out. But first of all, I don't feel comfortable summoning demons inside the town. So maybe we should take this outside. Oh,
Well, you
with
don't
somebody
have to do
to
it.
kill.
I will summon them if you don't feel comfortable doing it. And then what happens if that causes it to activate even still?
Well,
Let's take it out of the town first. Let's try something before we end up possibly corrupting everything that it touches. And I'll grab a bucket from somewhere as we sort of leave.
Yeah. Essentially, from a scientific point of view, which Eos would understand, essentially, this blood is kind of like very pure water, and that very pure water won't freeze as easily because I believe they're called nucleation or something, particles in it aren't able to basically crystallize to form that structure until like the object is like judded or something to make that, which is why if you get super cool water and slam it down, it can start to freeze, whereas it wasn't freezing before. Which is kind of cool in its own way. So you believe that agitation of this blood will likely cause something to happen. Whether pouring it out will have the right agitation to form a spirit or not, you're not sure. And I would say, with your alchemical knowledge of these symbols, it appears that this wood has been treated in some form of magic, though you're not quite able to understand what that magic will do.
treated in some kind of magic.
Yeah.
Damn, wish we had Casimir still. Still,
There is, of course, one other person in town who may have that sort of knowledge.
I was going to say maybe speak to the priestess lady.
Hmm.
all right. Sure, let's take it there. We have already hallowed the ground.
Yep.
Okay, sure.
So, you head to the church and you're welcome. Ah, welcome, my children. How may I be of assistance this day?
Summoning demons?
She pauses, looks into her cup of like communion wine and dips a finger in and tastes it and like, nope, that's the normal stuff. I'm not drunk. Sniffs some of like the incense. No, that's not been laced with anything. Okay, this you appear to be serious. This appears to be not me hallucinating. You want to summon demons?
I show her the barrel. Have you seen something like this before?
Hmm. Hmm. That is a good question. Have I seen something like this before?
We're checking that there's no other way to accidentally summon demons if we give it over once we've emptied it.
Hmm.
But the problem is, empty it, we may have to actually summon them. Which something we need to test.
Yes, I'm just checking.
I'll
something.
explain how it works to her if she hasn't.
Yes, I'm gonna have her roll that, I think. Wow. Wow. Just wow. But with your explanation, I'm giving her advantage. It's not much better, but well, it's quite a bit better actually. It's 8 better. Well, I assume base that you've managed to identify most of these markings to come to this sort of conclusion.
Indeed, but we got stuck trying to figure out what magic has been suffused with it.
Yes, this is. Well, I hesitate to use the word, considering the sort of thing is it, but this is a form of divine magic on this barrel.
What?
Yes. Well, divine's perhaps not the right word. This is a magic of priests and priestesses, just not necessarily the good kind, but it still classifies as divine magic. For example, looking over at Raven, who probably has not entered the church because Raven doesn't enter churches.
No,
Drow,
he probably would have stayed behind.
yeah. As your Drow friend would probably be able to tell you, a Drow priestess of Lolth still accesses divine magic, but they're doing it for Lolth, so I wouldn't necessarily call that divine, but you know.
Doing it for lols.
That's what I heard as well. Doing it for lols.
Yeah. Oh god, she's a god of chaos. That actually kind of makes sense for her. Anyway, so essentially, these rooms are religious rooms of a demon worshipping group. If I was to guess, considering the sort of nature of it, um, I would say, well, I hesitate to say the name, but this would be the Faceless Lord's work, I would say. Ones who worship him.
Well, have I heard of such a creature?
Roll me a religion check.
Oh boy.
And see how religious the cleric is.
24.
Yes. You have definitely heard of this, and initially you're not sure why she would hesitate to say the actual name, because generally when you use a demon's name, particularly if you know the true name, it tends to give you power over it. But there's a nagging voice in your head that seems to suggest that naming this creature is not a good thing to do. Instead, calling it by its aliases, such as
the one with no form.
yes, or the Lord of Nothing has.
I'm just gonna straight up ask, so who's this you're on about?
Well,
Formless one is a powerful demon lord. He
Yeah.
rules many of the layers of the abyss. He, or it rather, has no real motivation except to consume everything,
yes.
covering the world in a horrific slime-like substance.
Yes, one might say very similar to what's in this barrel. Hence why I'm fairly certain it's that.
Blood,
point-
ooze, tar, you name it.
yes. But essentially, what I believe these runes are doing, though not being completely versed in their sort of runes, but knowing enough to recognize them, I think that this is almost, well, Cage, you would notice this. This barrel appears fuller than when you initially looked at it in the windmill. Yes, I believe essentially what these runes are doing is it's not quite channeling a path to the abyss. That would not be possible in this land, but it's almost like using some sort of pathway to refill itself almost.
Ugh.
But it seems that these runes are, from what I can see, aren't perfect, so it won't always refill itself. It's not going to be like some items which will restore with a dawn or restore a
It's got a
certain.
chance of restoring effectively.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Right. Question: what has a hallowed ground had an effect on it, if any?
It before, when you were looking at it, it had a sort of shimmer and almost seemed to be moving by itself. It appears to be almost completely stationary now, almost as if it's inert would be the right word, I think.
Okay. Well, that's a good sign. At least if we ever want to stop this thing, rather than find a way to destroy it, we could just keep it here, locked away. But
Perhaps if you stick like grave dirt in it.
grave dirt,
Yeah.
I
or
mean,
put a little bit of ground in it.
if you put some dirt in it, you here it probably wouldn't do anything, but outside it might cause a demon to appear who is perhaps more akin to the grave or to dirt, perhaps.
Hmm.
Yes, you may get, or you may get a demon that is related to alcohol in some way.
I wonder what happens if I put this in it, and I'll retrieve a a vial of holy water.
Well, you might get a. Well, to be honest, that could be a way of neutralizing it to some extent, but it's whether. Um, yes, and it might, like, you could probably replace maybe I'm going to say just for how many. Does 9 gallons sound too big for a barrel?
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my alchemy kit and retrieve a small beaker of this blood, and I'm going to test it myself by dropping a single drop of holy water into it
Yeah.
as a sample test.
So you see a little bit, perhaps enough equal to the drop, or perhaps a little bit more than the drop, seem to turn clear like actual water. But
Perfect.
so from what you're understanding, essentially, by using holy water, you could effectively neutralize some of the blood. However, you're not sure, and the priestess is also not sure whether whether that liquid would then be able to be overwritten by the enchantment on the barrel when it recharges or not.
Yeah. Okay, then. In that case, I suggest I spend the rest of the day siphoning off portions of this, neutralizing it with holy water, of which I've got to create, which is why it will take the rest of the day. And we'll leave a small portion at the end of the barrel. That way, we've dealt with the blood without summoning the demons, and we're only leaving a small amount. Therefore, it'll take at least some period of time before Baba Lysaga can refill and use it.
Yes.
If we then decide later that we do want to eventually deal with it, it's less of a problem then.
Yeah.
Is there not a way we could damage the symbols on it in some way to make them inert?
Then she will not use them. She will not give us what she wants, what we want.
Well, that
She asked for the magic. She asked for the item, not asked for the destroyed item. She
And-
will likely go back on her deal.
and of course, if you are planning to ice her afterwards, then it don't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
To be
True.
honest, unless you're expecting her to use it on you immediately. And yes,
We're not going to use demons against her. I don't think we're going to be able to control them. What if they get rampant and they flee the battlefield and cause even more problems? I don't think using demons. What are you even suggesting? We're not summoning
Yeah.
demons. Good
yeah.
God.
But remember what
Not against.
your patron. Remember what your matron technically said to you is that technically, whilst this only brought forth a lower level demon before, there's no guarantee that's all it is capable of doing.
Hmm.
Has there ever been such a thing as a good demon?
Likely not. I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start casting ceremony and creating holy water.
Yeah. I mean, a good person with demon blood, maybe, but I've never heard of a good demon.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna begin the process.
But
while you're doing that,
are you doing this while staying in the church, I guess?
Yes,
Okay.
because they are the ones with the water here.
Then Echo Hell, we're all set. But then again, I've never heard of a good drow, really, and then you've got Raven, who at least seems decent.
ooh,
You know. So it's possible there might be a good demon.
Watch
all
your
I'm saying.
tongue,
bad,
Helwit.
bad hell. Yeah.
Even I'm going to look at the echo and go, you're pushing it a bit there, mate.
And I was saying that Raven is a positive example.
Mm.
Backhanded.
I was insulting her race, not her. Him.
Wow.
Now
He's not even with you guys to even say anything about this
Yeah.
right now. Of course, he didn't come here.
Yep. Yeah.
Not evil, but won't step foot on church grounds.
Yep. There is also the fact that Raven doesn't set foot in holy places. That's a bit sketchy. But I suppose that might be because he's worried that might attract the wrong attention.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Or
But
maybe
anyway.
faith failed him. You don't know his history.
That's true. That's true. But anyway,
It might have nothing to do with being evil. Might have to do with religion.
yeah. Anyway, but I can't actually go anywhere unless Hellweir does. So we stand here to watch over Eos, or we heading off?
I'm not going to force you to. You can go about any other chores you need doing in the city. Perhaps catch up with Casimir.
I do want to go and try and find a mask to sort of cover this up. Just sort of point
Yeah.
inside his face.
Oh, and after all, I was thinking about Casimir and that Staff of Frost. If he's not going to necessarily be with us for the coming venture, then I'm sure Porky and Raven, with their newfound powers, can probably make use of it.
All I can
Wow.
imagine is he's back at the house, and every now and again he's just trying to, have a nice chill afternoon, and he keeps just shuddering every time he keeps getting mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're on church grounds, I'll talk to you about him, and he's like, "Ugh, I've been cursed." Oh, again.
But with that, I will say you're able to find a mask, Hellweir, easily enough. But I will say that that is a good time to take a short break.
Okay.
So we'll be back in a few minutes, everyone. Have your drinks, purify your demon blood, have a read of your book, and we'll be back shortly.
Ah.
And welcome back, everyone, to Cursebreakers episode 33, where the party are basically, for the most part, chilling, relaxing, whilst Aos is trying to demonize demon blood.
Oh, most of the time is spent creating the holy water.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna carefully, without
Yeah.
disturbing the actual barrel or the contents, try
So,
to
how long does it take you to create a vial of holy water?
an hour.
Okay. So, you're trying to neutralize, like, all but a little bit of this, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to say it's going to take you 8 hours to create the necessary amount of holy water.
Oh. All right, that's the rest of the day.
Do you have the amount of powdered silver?
Oh, yes, we do.
Excellent.
Oh, not enough.
So, why am I hearing music despite the fact that I'm not playing music? Damn it, Barovian Village, bugger off, stop playing.
Or Barovian Village.
I don't want to say anything, but I think that's been playing all night.
Yeah, I think in the background of it. I swear I stopped it playing that, but oh well. There was other music playing, so, and it's still technically Barovian Village, so, yeah. So it was 6 hours for Kate to get back, which from the morning took you to maybe like 2 o'clock. So, yeah, basically it is going to be the rest of the day. So you'll have this neutralized by essentially the morning.
Yeah.
Are you going to try to neutralize it before you go to bed, or are you going to do it afterwards?
Well, if we got up, it's been 6 hours.
And then it's going to take you another 8 hours.
8 hours. That's a full day, and I can sleep.
Yeah.
I can still get my sleep in.
Yeah, so it's basically, are you going to dump the holy water in before or after you sleep?
Well, no, I'm taking portions of blood out at a time and then mixing the holy water with it.
Yeah, so are you going to do that before or after you sleep?
Before I sleep.
Okay, so other than that, is there anything else you want to do before you sleep?
Read some more of the book.
Okay, you can probably get maybe another hour before you need to rest after the strenuous time of casting all these spells ritually.
Yeah.
Is there anything else anyone would like to do in the 8 hours they have? Hell, where you managed to get a mask, or say it was 5 silver.
Oh god, actually, yeah, there is something more.
I
Porky,
will go and
Raven,
get a
anything you'd like
haircut.
to do?
I'd like to spend some time and attune to the Lucky Stone.
Yep, you can do that. I'm gonna say that upon attuning to it, just for flavor and fun, it almost like there seems to glow brief and then almost forms into the shape of a spectral cat, which then runs around your shoulders multiple times before sort of curling up on one shoulder and forming almost like a brooch with the stone on your poncho. And you
Yeah.
feel just that little bit luckier.
All right.
Like a lucky cat, Paul?
Yeah. Now imagine if you'd tried to bet that with the person of luck. Who knows what you could have got?
Are you reading any of your book as well, Porky? Over the 8 hours?
Once I've finished, obviously, attuning to the stone, then yes.
Yeah, you got 7 hours in.
Continue my program.
Right.
And also, actually, there is one more thing I'd like to do before I bloody well forget. All right, I pull out the head, the
Which head?
shrunken head
The one
from
you
the
got from the tower.
yes.
Okay, I need to find my notes on that one.
I cast Speak with Dead, which is just an action.
Yeah. What the... Ah, there it is. Right. So, Just sort of seems to. I feel like I need a better music for this.
And while we're carrying that, why are we carrying a ewer around? I'm gonna ask the. I'm gonna ask this to get powdered while we're here. Fuck it.
Right, so it yawns as you cast the spell.
Sorry this took so long. You've probably been uncomfortable inside that bag. Now, I have a few questions for you. Feel free to answer them truthfully, but you're not under no obligation to. So, who are you?
I'm. Oh, my name's Jan.
Yan?
Oh yeah, I suppose the last name's probably a good one. I'll give you that one for free. The name's Yan Tan Tetherer of the Vistani clan, if that helps.
Stani, there we go. Yes. Okay. I suppose you're not going to know why your head is in a tower, because you'd probably be dead by the time I got there. So, it's a better question.
I could tell you killed me.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to, actually. Yeah, how did you die?
Well,
Heading, obviously, but like,
yeah,
what manner?
well, the beheading
So-
ain't how I died.
Oh,
That happened afterwards.
yeah.
At least I'm pretty sure it did. Can't
So-
tell for certain I was dead.
The circumstances of your death is really what I'm
Yeah,
asking.
well, I was riding in a carnival wagon. Got a ride from some guy named Frictavio. He was trying to find a way into Barovia. So I tried to steal his wagon and his monkey, and he stabbed me.
Yeah, bad choice. See, that guy's actually some sort of specialized vampire hunter, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is a bit of free information that's probably sort of important. See, I know this because I've been told this after I died. But essentially, you see this kind of oily substance that's on me. That's kind of stopping me rotting.
Vinegar?
No. But essentially, it's a special oil that allows me to remember conversations I've had when people cast this spell.
Ooh, that's useful. In that
Probably
case,
shouldn't give you free information, but yeah, I've been in a box a while. I'm bored.
what previous conversations have you had?
Well, I've spoken twice with my murderer.
Yes, I'm guessing he kept you around for that purpose, which leads me to believe he has tried to get information about Strahd and Barovia, other Vistani perhaps?
Yeah, pretty much mostly about the Vistani. I think he has. Well, I know he's got some information. He needs some information about them for particular reasons, but yeah, he wants information on the Vistani.
What are those reasons?
Right, so this will be question 4, won't it?
Yes.
Let me get the information up. Named NPCs, there you are. Now, so let me try to think this out. Yeah, so the Vistani happened to steal something important from Rictavio, sold it to a vampire, and he kind of swore revenge. And that's why he took up his life of killing monsters.
Stole something precious.
His daughter.
Yes, possibly.
We were told that in the letter.
Yeah. Was that Rictavio's letter?
Yeah.
Yeah? The one in the wagon?
Yeah.
Wasn't his daughter.
Was it not? Was it?
No.
It's someone precious to him.
Mm,
Yeah, you would know based on the letter it was his son.
Oh, son. The name is confusing.
His
Okay.
son Erasmus.
Erasmus,
Oh, I
yes.
thought Erasmus was a female.
No.
Right. Okay, yeah. So I put that together. This, yeah, his son, and he lived a life of strife and pain, I hear.
Well, yeah.
Okay. Last question. Where did Rictavio say he was going? Do you know where he's going? Like, or where he is, or what he was last interested in investigating, perhaps? Like a lead on where he is.
Well, like all I really know is his main plan is he's trying to, well, I reckon, no, I don't know for certain, that he wants to deal a great blow to the Vistani, hoping that that'll weaken Strahd, and in exchange allow him to kill Strahd, because that's kind of his goal.
Hmm. So the only lead on his whereabouts is that he's plotting against the Vistani.
Yep. I will tell you one thing though. Another bit of free information. He will always be working alone.
Okay. Yeah, that makes it tricky to track him down. All right.
There's a good reason for it, but I'm not obliged to tell you, so I'm not gonna.
I feel like he might be making a mistake going after the Vistani. They're not really his most loyal servants. I think they could be swayed. Regardless, you've answered my questions. Thank you. Your spirit may go back to resting.
Aww. Can you call on me again sometime? It's nice to have someone to talk to.
Sure. What was his name? Yan.
Yep, Yan Tan.
Yeah. I will endeavor to do so, Yan.
Means 1, 2, 3.
Excellent. Well,
Probably
it's been a pleasure, Yan.
six, but...
I'll close his eyes, like as if he was dead.
Yeah, and then he goes, oh, no.
Well, he is dead, but yes, dead again. All right. Cool. Jeez. I do have another spell slot I could use for Speaker Dead.
Want to?
I think no, not to talk to him again. Just to ask something else. Maybe. What else did we pick up any skulls elsewhere?
They probably made into smoothies by now.
Oh
No.
God, yeah.
No, just those.
Aid, have you stolen my skulls collection?
You hear a burp in the distance.
Oh, asses.
No, the only other skulls we got were from the skeletons of the children the abbot was taking. And we've already buried those.
God,
I will say, And this is perhaps a weird thing to say, but it would be information you would have. I don't want the hand. What's the rest of my information? Sorry, it appears that. Oh, I see why. It's because I've still got a search up. I was like, why is it only showing me Rectavio's wagon? Okay, that music went weird.
Nice.
Funky death. Well. Crypt of the Negro dancer.
So, you would, trying to find it. Where is it? I hate it when I lose information.
Bless you.
I don't think I have any other.
There is one set of bones in the town that you would know of.
Oh, yes, there is. You know what? I'm right here. I might as well. Because I've been preparing this holy water all this time.
Yeah.
Was there a skull in amongst that?
Mm-hmm.
There was. Yeah. Yeah, screw it. I'll ask permission from the priestess first. I'll say, have you ever tried to commune with the bones of the saint? Like, speak with them?
No.
Would you like to? Perhaps they had some.
Sure.
Just thinking, perhaps they died with some important information.
Sorry,
They were a
Eos.
saint after all.
I don't wish to interrupt, but are you going to finish that?
What? Finish what?
The shrunken head.
That's not bone, Elias.
Oh.
It's a perfectly preserved head.
Yeah, Elias.
Not
I mean,
Not a lot,
they-
that's Gabe.
I'm sure we could find a butcher's that will get rid of some bones if you need them.
Getting hungry.
Don't start. Not here when there's a grave outside. Damn, I'm giving him ideas. Right.
It's fine. You do your communing with the saint, and we'll go find a butcher's.
We'll do our communing.
Communion. I mean,
Yeah, that's one.
anyway, yeah, I'll lift open the grave inside the
Yep, beneath the altar, basically.
yep beneath the altar, and I will cast Speak with Dead.
Okay. It sort of bites a few times and then just sort of seems to be looking at you.
O great saint, we beseech you for advice on defeating this evil in the land. Your people and their home are at peril. Do you know of any? I'm gonna look at the quick notes on the cards, and say, do you know of any other ways, tools, or weapons that will be useful in defeating Strahd?
It considers this for a moment.
Or even just simply purging this evil? Any type of evil?
this is going to be a really weird answer, but I do have an answer for this question. And it seems something that he would know. Actually, it's probably in that list of things.
Trying to remember how much we know of this saint. I think the book didn't give you anything, did it? There was no like lore.
Yeah.
So perhaps they're tied to Jamie. What are they called? The knights.
The
Knights of the
Knights of
Silver
the
Dragon.
Silver Dragon
Silver Dragon. Yeah. I wonder if they know anything
from
There is always Saint Markovius Thighbone.
That's a different saint's bones.
Yes, but his one is more suited for.
Do you guys all like get together in a big bone pile and like like Saints Anonymous or something? Actually, don't count that as a question.
Where would we find that? Do you think?
Yeah, that's another question, I suppose.
Well,
Where? Go on.
Well, I will say, out of character, you would know. Well, in character, you would know that you've been to the Abbey of Saint Markovia.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Ah.
Well,
Yes, I believe, unlike a lot of things, I mean, my holiness entered my bones and allowed me to suffuse power around, but hers is. Markovia was someone more dedicated to the fighting of vampires. It was against Strahd that she fell. And rumors had it that, at least among the saintly side of things, and yes, we do get together every now and then, that her thigh bone would function as a mace of disruption.
Jesus. I mean, holy Lord on high heavens.
But unfortunately, being a bone, it is rather
Brittle.
yes. So it
Fragile.
will likely only be able to deal 1 or 2 blows, maybe.
Unless
Still.
we cast mending on it over and over, maybe.
No, that's not how saintly bones work. You know nothing.
I'm asking the questions here.
I won't count that as a question. That's just me wanting to be Sarky to Elias.
I was pondering that to Aeos, not.
Okay, sure.
What about?
I'll ask. You mentioned this saint was a tried to defeat Strahd. How did she fail, or what was the story behind that? There must have been a goal in mind in how she approached it.
Well, I will give you a little bit of a tale of Markovia. As a youth, Markovia followed her heart and became a priest of the Morning Lord soon after her 18th birthday. She proved to be a charismatic proselytizer? It's not a word I've ever seen. And before the age of 30 had gained a reputation for now allowing no evil to stand before her. She had long considered Strahd a mad tyrant, but only after his transformation into a vampire did she dare to challenge him. She rallied her followers and prepared to march on Castle Ravenloft. And to try to thwart her, Strahd sent a group of vampires spawned to her abbey. They confronted Markovia and she destroyed every single one single-handedly. Suffused with the confidence of that victory, she advanced on Castle Ravenloft. A great battle raged from the catacombs to the parapets. In the end, Markovia never returned, and Strahd long afterwards walked with a limp and a grimace of pain. It is rumored that he trapped Markovia in a crypt beneath his castle, and her remains linger there yet. But
Ooh.
her bone may be somewhere else. It's hard to know.
Hmm.
Do you think this saint would know about fifth card, the only one we don't have any information on, the secret place?
Sorry, I was dancing. What was that question?
Well, I just found out information about card 1.
Ah,
Maybe the saint knows about card 5, the secret place of altar temptation hidden behind a woman of great beauty.
you think that's her?
Evil awaits atop his terror treasure. Or do you think
Hmm.
that might be in Castle Ravenloft as well as card 1?
Possibly. But it doesn't sound like this. It doesn't sound like this saint was part of said attack on Strahd's castle, so it's unlikely he knows. Well, we can ask him actually. What do you know of Castle Ravenloft? Its inner workings or potential dangers?
I know of its time before Strahd rose to power, when the old king ruled there.
Okay.
But hearing your friend speak, who I'm assuming must still be here, I would suggest, based on what you are asking, that you would be the greatest beauty that I saw whilst there would be the
Strahd's
queen.
wife. Oh, Queen.
Yeah, Strahd's mother, but not
Biological mother.
yes.
Mm,
Okay.
Would
Okay. That's useful information. Okay.
where would his mother be, or would
In Castle Ravenloft,
you think?
of course.
Yes, I remember at least one large portrait of her.
There we go. There we go. Make note of that. Oh,
So, card 1 and card 5 are both in Castle Raven.
potentially.
Well, that's what I've just told.
Yeah.
Okay. That's is that 3 or 4? 3 questions. Okay. What else should we ask?
Is there anywhere? Oh, you've already asked if there's anywhere potentially where we could get some stuff that could help us in the fight.
Yeah. What do you know of? What do you know of Mother Night?
The other god of this land.
The non-biological mother of Strahd.
Yes. Well, it depends. What exactly would you like to know?
I'd like to know how she came to hold dominion over the Sun Sword, and yeah, why she thinks she can take away that power effectively.
The Sun Sword was laid as an offering to her, and so by that right it has been essentially sacrificed or given to her, and because of that she holds dominion over it.
What if? Okay, I guess it's the last question. What if the Sun Sword was dedicated to a new god? Would the transfer of power go to someone else? It is, after all, Cade's now. It is in his possession, attuned to him.
If you are, in order to, for such a divine and powerful item, one containing the soul of an individual, that soul is truly what is bound to the Night Mother. In order to break that hold, you would need to break her hold, essentially. which could be done via killing her, or it could be done via weakening her significantly enough.
I thank you for your graceful advice and guidance.
Yes. Ugh,
May you return to your saintly rest.
yes. I'm actually going to give you one more bit of information in regards to one of your earlier questions. I cannot tell you where these two items lie, though I suspect, if anywhere, they are within the castle. But there are three other powerful items that are somewhere within Barovia. There is the Helm of Brilliance. There is the Icon of Ravenloft. And finally, there is a very powerful weapon known as a Luck Blade.
Oh, okay.
Somewhere.
Oh.
Interesting.
But where, I cannot say. Because I don't
Alright.
know, I've seen them before and nothing leaves the land, so, you know. Anyway,
You have given us an abundance. Our
yes.
chalice overfloweth with knowledge.
Excellent, and now I'm hoping to make my chalice overflow with something else at the party I was at, so good day. And with that, it fades away.
God, this afterlife sounds pretty good for saints. I hope I become a saint one day. That'd be great. Saint Eos, that'd be great. All right, sweet. Okay, I'm gonna compile this information, and when everyone's together again, I'll relay it.
You didn't think to ask the saint all the knowledge about yourself.
It's true, but hey, don't make me go back in there. I got another spell slot.
Can they? Well, will you be willing to disturb the saint?
Yeah.
Right.
Go where
So, is there anything else anyone would like to do?
I think secretly, Eos didn't ask those questions because she is starting to realize it herself.
Yes.
I think she realized it perhaps back in the Amber Temple, but hasn't truly accepted it yet, maybe. Who knows?
Possibly.
Anyway, I've made some notes there. Okay, cool. Back to the others. I'll regroup once everything's finished.
Yeah.
I guess, unless we're going on to the next day.
Is there anything else anyone would like to do before the next day?
No, not for me.
Right, so with that, you have a nice long rest. Play some long rest music whilst I decide if anyone gets a vision this time.
Pick me.
Okay, so someone is getting a vision,
Okay.
and this time it is Raven once more, because that is the way the dice fell.
The one who cannot sleep gets
Yep.
pretty much the most visions.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
This before I had purpose for it. This time I just decided to randomly roll and see if anyone got one. And
It's
if
not
it
a
landed,
vision, it's a hallucination.
and if it landed on a,
wine.
and if it landed on a 3, then Eos wasn't getting one because Eos has had one recently.
It's true.
And if it was a 1, I wouldn't have got one either. Elias would have. Pretty much everyone would have, apart from the 2 holy people, weirdly. So, let me think. So, as you're trancing, of course, it's kind of like almost like a disconnect from your body in a way, or a focus on your body in a weird way. It's kind of a weird trance is never fully explained as far as I'm aware, so I'm just deciding how it works. It's like monks sort of use like their sort of meditation almost to try to achieve that sort of entrance into the astral plane almost. So
Or clearing your mind.
yeah. So yeah, as you're clearing your mind, rather than being a vision, well, it kind of is. Your mind focuses on a particular memory, but this isn't a memory of yours. Which is kind of an odd statement because it's a memory, so it should be one of yours. But
it's not.
yep. Instead, it is a memory of the spirit dwelling within you. Because why not?
Okay.
So, I am going to find the information I had on this a moment. You see the woman who shares a body with you, watching
She's paying rent.
yeah. She's providing you powers. You see her watching a battle. In fact, I have the notes of this battle in here, I believe. Yes. Well, you hear the sounds of battle, but the fog around this figure in the memory has grown so thick that you can barely see more than 60 feet in any direction. Suddenly, though, the fog clears, or seemingly takes on the form of soldiers on horseback charging across the battlefield. They collide with armored pipe bearers wearing devil-horned helms. As each soldier falls in battle, it turns to fading mist. Hundreds more soldiers collide in a storm of screams and clashing metal. As the battle rages on, you hear a thunderous roar, and seconds later a huge dragon made of silver mist glides overhead, dispersing enemy soldiers with each flap of its mighty wings. Its long reptilian tail slices through the air above the figure as the dragon carves a sway through the fog, affording you a fleeting glimpse of a dark mansion overlooking the valley.
Real estate.
How did I know you? I literally was 2 seconds away from saying the exact same thing.
As you're watching this battle, where's the other bit of information? I've lost the other bit of information. Where's it gone again? I literally had it a moment ago. A figure astride a flaming horse rises up into the air and strikes out at this silver dragon. They fight for what seems like an age, but in reality has only been a few moments, until suddenly the dragon falls in the combat, dissolving into mist, and a figure on the ground, seemingly one of the last soldiers standing, raises up his sword and bellows out, swearing vengeance for the destruction of both the dragon and his order. And as he does so, other spirits rise up with him, and that is where the vision fades.
Yes, I really need to lay off the nightcap.
And then the spirit seems to turn, actually, in the dream as it fades, and turns to face. Well, the vision fades, but the figure doesn't, and turns to face you, essentially. That was when Argynvost fell, the silver dragon that was the symbol of their order. Their leader swore vengeance, and now perhaps their power it can never rival Strahd, but it at least is a thorn in his side. But I would not say they are much better than Strahd, for they do not wish his death, they wish his torment.
I mean, from what I've seen, he seems pretty tormented already.
Yes, no. They seek to make it worse, to make his every moment a living hell, essentially, at least. That
Tell
is
me-
what I saw when I travelled as a spirit.
Tell me something. You've been, and the others who have gave us gifts and such like that these past few weeks, I'm guessing it's been weeks, not really months yet, I would suppose. What is it you actually want us to do? You seem from this, you're showing me this vision, and I am confused whether you actually are against or with Strahd in terms of this.
You raise a very good question.
As someone who is impartial to either side, I don't see a right or wrong answer. I'm curious just to know where you all stand as well.
We we have always been ones who gather information. We are spies by nature. And whilst most spies are considered perhaps the worst, double dealers, those on both sides selling information to the highest bidder, that is perhaps how we were in the past, but we have seen what Strahd has become. We have seen what his enemies have become. And whilst we do not wish for him to remain as a powerful being trapping this land, we also do not wish him torment, for we do not wish that on anyone. We have seen him tormented enough. If anything, we wish for his death, but not for necessarily just for the salvation of this land, but for his own freedom, so he can finally be at rest.
So essentially, you want him to find peace.
As much peace as one who has done as dark deeds as he has can ever achieve. I suspect he would most likely spend time in the abyss or the nine hells upon death, or perhaps even as such a powerful remnant may dwell within the Shadowfell forever, but either way he would no longer be trapped. I feel it is both his desire for love and his desire to be free that make him such a terrifying enemy. He is willing to do seemingly whatever he can to achieve those goals, and as time passes, he becomes worse. Many have
Yeah.
tried to face him. Mordenkainen and the Knights of Argynvost hold the and others, but none have yet managed to bring him down. None have really even got close.
Hmm.
And it seems that recently he has brought in plans, but for example, what he has done or ordered his servants to do to the winery seems quite out of character. The wine was always a way, to some extent, that he could keep the people happy enough that they wouldn't rebel. But now, with that gone, they will slowly descend into despair, and then there will be nothing left.
See, Raven's probably kind of at this point, he's almost pacing round, just up and down, almost in a little oval, and he seems to be thinking. Is that mastermind brain is trying to formulate a plan, and he turns to her and says, "Is there any way that I can find a way on neutral, peaceful grounds to get an audience, whether it be on my own or with a companion or two who will equally remain neutral?"
Well, I do not know whether it would be safe or not, but he has invited you to dinner.
Yes, an invitation that's probably going to expire at some point.
Yes.
It's just with the way that some of my party, how their mindset is, I would rather try and talk to him without, no offense to them, but the bias. I want to hear his side before we go in, guns blazing, murdering him.
Well, one thing worth considering before you make a decision is the only one who can truly ever allow someone to come into or out of this land is Strahd. You need to ask the question, why would he bring adventurers who would quite clearly become the sort who would try to kill him into the land?
Are you saying he wants to be killed?
It's a possibility.
Then why does he fight back? That's the thing.
It is in his nature to some extent.
I don't think it's just in his nature. I think there is a will in there wanting to live.
It is also, to some extent, Strahd, as you know, became a vampire from the temple. However, there is another downside to the vampirism other than what is required to gain it. Strahd believes that there is nobody he can trust. He does not trust even the gods, that even if these people were to, if he was willingly to sacrifice himself, then he would perhaps not be able to be destroyed. Also, he has paid a hefty price to become what he has. I think part of him doesn't wish to waste that sacrifice by simply sacrificing himself. Though this is just mere conjecture based on what I have seen.
I'm sorry, but it is literally like you're telling me my own life story.
Yes. You're an interesting one for Strahd to bring because it's clear that with the right information, you would never truly turn against him until you have that certain answer. Perhaps.
That's why I'm tired of hearing everything about him from third parties. Why I want to speak to him directly.
I will tell you this. Whilst you may not be able to speak to him directly and safely before making your decision, I will give you this piece of advice, or information, should I say. The final item that you seek is a work made by Strahd himself. It is essentially almost a diary of sorts. It is possible that from that information, should you be able to find it, and I cannot tell you where it is but it may be that that information will help make your decision, may provide you the answers and your group the answers that they need to truly make the decision with a clear head and clear reasoning.
See. Okay. Literally, he's like a parallel version of me. It's a bit scary, actually.
And with that, the long rest comes to an end. And I believe, Aosh, you wanted to use a sending spell to confirm with Mother Night whether these were the items.
That's right. Yeah. I have got sending prepared, and
I'm just looking at the time, and that would seem like a good last bit, if you know what I mean, to prepare for next session.
Yeah. Okay then. Yes, I'll cast sending. Oh, wait. Yeah, I've got one last slot left. That third. Oh, I can use it up.
Okay,
Yeah,
you're doing it before your long rest, then, essentially.
Oh, yeah. I guess it makes sense. Yeah, it
Yeah,
makes sense.
that is fine. That is fine. We'll say perhaps. Actually, what we'll do to flavour this, we'll say that you cast this as you go to sleep, perhaps requesting an audience with Mother Night in the realm of dreams. Because sending, of course, only being 25 words or whatever, I think that's
It is,
sending.
yeah.
So,
I could actually continually cast it with the 4th level spells as well, though.
yeah, but let's just say that you invite her to speak in your dreams because you know she's done that before and is
True.
quite capable of doing so.
Okay. Yeah, I'll
So,
I'll upcast it as well, just to give it that extra boost.
and I'll play the song called The Dreamweaver because it seems appropriate. Well, 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 it seems you're back again, asking to speak with me. And you didn't want to come and see my beautiful face, person to person. Am I really that repulsive to you, Thurnyfield?
We'll come to see you when we're sure that we have the right item. You didn't give us very good specifics on what it was.
I told you you'd know it when you saw it.
Right. So it's called Mother's Milk.
Yes, that's the one I needed to make my cookies.
If I could facepalm
Say
myself
what
in my
now?
seat, I would. I would literally hit myself as hard as I could.
I honestly was tempted to say she needs it to make her lasagna, but I decided not to go quite that far.
Oh, no. Your cookies
Yes,
for Strahd Jr.
yes.
Right.
I needed to turn him into a growing boy. And unfortunately, I can't produce my own, so I magically make some.
Doesn't she have like a field full of goats?
Yes, but
Shuddering in my sleep. Right. Well, there's a. Ailstings hesitates before maybe
yes.
mentioning the barrel.
Did you find something else that you think I might like more?
It depends.
A hellhound.
Are you adding something to your offer?
Well, I will certainly add something, providing this is a worthy trade. But no, not the seed.
You know? Oh, not the seed. Well, don't take that off the table just yet. After all, we did find something of far more interest than just milk.
Do you know how rare mother's milk is?
Wait, whose mother is whose? Is it a particular type of milk? Whose mother? Whose mother does this belong to?
Yeah, it's not important.
Mother Night.
Well, you must know. It's from
Strahd's mother.
Yes. Well, the one who calls herself mother, but isn't the mother. I'm the mother. Everyone
I
knows
thought
that.
you called yourself the one whose mother, and you're not the actual mother.
No.
You can't. Ugh, confusing things. I don't want to know how they preserved it that long, or even if they did try to preserve it, and maybe it's just
No,
cheese.
it's not actually milk.
Okay, I've got something to do in the morning. Time to get my alchemist kit out again.
Because you actually know what it is. You identified it before.
Oh, yeah, I did, didn't I?
Yeah. It's pale tincture.
That's right. It's a poison.
Yes.
Why would you poison a... You said this isn't going to help them grow, by the way. This is a poison.
It's only poison if you don't know how to prepare it properly. And in my cookies.
I'm going to roll an insight check on that one. Can I roll an insight?
Yeah.
21. Do I know if that's feasible as an alchemist myself to turn poison into lovely milk chocolate cookies?
I mean, to be honest, it's kind of one of the alchemist's sort of dreams to be able to turn something into something else entirely.
That's philosopher's stone.
Things like that.
Mm.
And turning a poison, like there are a lot of poisons which, when prepared in certain ways, can become non-poisonous entities. For example, sodium by itself explodes. Mix with chlorine and you've got salt.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'm going to take your word for it. But, okay, we did find something else. I'm
What
hoping
is it?
by being forthright and truthful here that you'll share the same honesty when we come to trade this. Because we found a demon barrel of blood.
Oh, so that's what they went to get. That makes sense. Though the fact that she's handing those out and she didn't give me any, that's just rude.
Who's she?
Oh, that's not important. You never meet her.
All right. Well, is it something you would be interested in?
Oh yes. Much more me than those other hags.
Why?
Well,
What do you plan on doing with it? Aside from obviously summoning demons, what would you have them do?
you see, I have I have an innate fondness for a certain fellow, and I was hoping I could find a way to summon a version of him.
You do not speak of the formless one.
Oh, hell no!
Oh.
No.
Somehow I'm still not any more relieved. Who do you mean?
Well, you gave me a figure of him. I thought you'd guess.
Snurg?
Yes.
You can summon a demon Snurg?
Yes, there's an interesting
Feels off
demon.
the table. We're keeping this for us.
Yes.
You'll
Well,
be a powerful ally in the coming battle.
you would need a snurg to make a snurg, and I have the snurg.
I see.
But I will explain. Technically, whilst that's demon blood, there is certain ways to use it for other themes. And the sword that I want is a devil. It's called an arachnocrat.
Zoom type. Didn't know you could sneeze in dreams, but
Well, I can sneeze wherever I like. I'm not in a dream. You're in the dream.
right.
Mm.
And what does this demon do, or devil do?
Well, he's like Snurg.
Sounds like a spider, yes.
He's like Snurg, but with demon powers. And just because I really want to, I'm just going to bring up the picture of it.
Yeah, so look at this.
She conjures up an illusion of this figure, which I will drag onto the thing in a moment. When it loads, give it a moment.
There you go.
Oh my god.
Do you know what? I was expecting something so much worse.
Oh,
That's amazing.
do I see this? Do I see this
I
image?
only approve her plan. Let her do it.
You said an arachnocrat.
Yeah. What do you think I said?
I didn't know what the hell you said. I heard crap and I laughed.
Crap. No poop. Alright, well, we're gonna bring it with us. Make sure you have the holy symbol.
Well,
prepared,
yeah, I'll give you the Raven's Eye.
untainted.
Oh, don't worry. I couldn't taint this if I tried. Well, give me maybe
No.
73 years. Give or take
Peculiar.
10.
A peculiar choice of number. Actually, my favorite number. But yeah, okay, well, that's fine. I'm actually kind of glad to hear that you can't. Not
Well,
like you did with the Sun Sword.
Well, I didn't corrupt that. It was given to me. And
Grey area.
I haven't corrupted the blade. I've just owned the soul inside it.
Yes, grey areas.
Ah, now would that be what you want to trade for?
The grey area?
No, I can trade you the ownership of the soul, and then the Sunblade will be entirely yours.
I will have to confer, but that is an interesting proposition.
I could also give you a spare broomstick I have.
I'm probably not going to confer with that one because I know Elias will be like, yes. We'll bargain when we see each other. I just wanted to check in and confirm this was the correct item, and it seems we were right initially, and somehow we got a little bit confused along the way. But anyway,
yes, I can understand why you would think ground up bone might not be the best item.
right. Well, good night, Mother Night.
Yes, I suppose. Was it really that time? Well, yes.
Although I don't
Um,
suppose you sleep during this hour.
No, this is when I'm at my strongest. I might go for a flyby, maybe blow up a few houses.
Blah, blah.
Nah.
Don't do that. She sounds like she's like getting more distant as the spell fades. No, don't do that.
I might go get myself another goat. Or go
Goat.
play in the snow. Eh,
Yes.
Anyway, night. And that is where we'll end the session. So, good night, everyone, and don't let the snug devil bite. But,
Making
of course, stay watching because the Last Resort Company is up next. And on Friday, join us for Roll for Story as we continue our journey towards the Clawed Coast, trying not to get too sidetracked. And Sunday for the Witch Hunters, where, of course, you will see a familiar-ish figure there. But now, as I said, good night.
Man, she's making it really hard not to kill her.
Bye.